little girl horribly burned in the bathtub spends all her childhood being stared at and teased. It has been a heartbreaking journey for the 9-year-old and her mom. But today you'll meet a selfless surgeon, giving this child a new lease on life. Now we go to Florida, where our cameras witnessed an extraordinary act of kindness from a selfless plastic surgeon who came to the rescue of a little 9-year-old girl terribly scarred in a horrific incident when she was just 2. Lori Du reports.
Medea Idris is a giggly, spirited 3rd grader whose favorite color is pink. She loves reading and writing, and most of all, skating.
Whoa. I'm okay.
Medea, she's been wonderful. I mean, she's full of spirit, very trustworthy, and people she don't even know.
Christine Lawson is Medea's mom.
She's just warm and open and kind to anyone and everyone.
But perhaps more than anything, this 9-year-old from Denver, Colorado, just wants to be seen as normal in a world that tells her she's not.
They tease me about my hair. They just laugh at me and they're saying, "You're bald," and stuff.
One kid would call her a bald-headed bitch.
It's that kind of cruelty that Medea has had to endure since she was 2.5. When her mother's then-boyfriend poured scalding hot water on her head while giving her a bath, leaving her with 2nd and 3rd-degree burns on her hands, forehead, and more than 50% of her scalp.
Her whole head completely swelled. You could see there was already hair loss almost immediately.
Terry Pierce, Medea's maternal grandmother, will never forget the moment when she saw her granddaughter in the hospital.
The injury was horrendous. I was probably more scared than she was at the time.
Christine's ex-boyfriend was arrested but never charged. The incident was ruled an accident.
To this day, has he ever said, "I'm sorry"?
He has. It's hard for me to accept the "I'm sorry." I mean, it's something I can never forget. Forget or forgive.
Hard because nearly every day, Medea has been teased and tormented, often reduced to tears.
She had gotten a wig. It was made from locks of love, real hair. She couldn't wait to go to school, and the kids pulled it off of her head. On the school bus, they would pull it off, throw it around the bus, stomp all over it. They ruined it.
When she would come home crying, did you want to cry yourself?
Yeah, there's been plenty of nights where I've cried myself to sleep. It's difficult.
For more than 5 years, Christine contacted hospitals and doctors' offices in Colorado, Texas, and Kansas, but none could offer a permanent solution for Medea's hair loss. So Christine hit the internet, and that's where she found the hope she was looking for, thousands of miles away.
It's not too hard to open your heart to this girl's situation. How are you?
Dr. Jeffrey Epstein is a Miami-based plastic surgeon who specializes in hair restoration. During Christine's internet search, his was the very first name that popped up.
Well, she wrote me and said, "Can you help me?" Her immediate response was, "Absolutely, Christine, we will make something happen for her."
After flying to Colorado for a consultation, Dr. Epstein agreed to perform a surgery usually reserved for balding men, a hair transplant. It's a procedure he's done more than 7,000 times, a procedure Christine could never afford. But thanks to Dr. Epstein and an organization called Operation Restore, it won't cost her a penny.
It's just wonderful. I mean, I don't know how to describe this. It's just, I never in a million years would have expected it.
This past Friday, Christine and Medea arrived in Miami just hours before the surgery, just in time for a quick dip in the pool.
Tell me about what's going to happen in there. And
They're gonna take some hair from behind my head and then put it up here.
It sounds simple, but Saturday will be a long and difficult ordeal for everyone.
Stand by for that right after this. Also, chocolate New Orleans and plantation government. Is that any way to celebrate MLK Day? That story in this when we come back. The big day arrives for Medea and her mom. There's both fear and hope as they prepare for surgery. Lori Dew takes us inside the OR next. So surgery day finally arrives for Medea. This warning, some of the images you're about to see might be unsettling. Here's Lori with part 2.
It's 6 a.m., bright and early on the day that could change the life of 9-year-old Medea Idris. For 5.5 years, she has endured physical and emotional pain after her mother's then-boyfriend poured 160-degree water on her head during a bath, leaving her severely scarred and partially bald. She's a little sleepy, but ready to roll. You came all the way to Florida for this very special surgery.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope happens?
That I grow some more hair.
How was your trip here?
At his Miami area office, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein welcomes his young patient.
Are you excited?
Then gets right to work.
This is where we're going to get the donor strip from.
Because of all the scar tissue, Dr. Epstein expects only 80% of Medea's transplanted hair to grow, but it could be as little as 60%. Medea's mom, Christine.
We've talked about what, this is going to happen, and, she tried to get her to understand that it's not going to be like, a full head of hair.
Going up. Tell me when you want to stop, okay?
Despite her tender age, Dr. Epstein says Medea is emotionally mature enough to handle the procedure.
When you look in her eyes and you say, do you want this done? And she says yes, then you know that, without that hesitation, then I feel very comfortable going ahead and doing the procedure.
Once Medea is numbed up, Dr. Epstein begins cutting away the long, narrow strips of scalp that will provide the transplant hair.
Donor site's already coming together nicely.
Surgical assistants then carefully dissect the donor pieces under microscopes, isolating each individual hair. It's a long procedure, and it's taking a toll on little Medea.
Just a little stick, sweetie. That's it. Just hold still.
It's okay, baby. It's okay. It's okay.
Watching the pain in her daughter's face triggers unwanted memories for Christine.
It brought back a lot of anger, because if this had never happened, she wouldn't be going through any of it.
Finally, the transplanting begins. In a painstaking process, Dr. Epstein inserts the microscopic hairs into tiny incisions on Medea's head. How many do you hope to implant today?
Well, our hope is that we can get around 12 to 1,300, maybe even 1,400 grafts. Each graft is going to have, on the average, 2 or 3 hairs.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm excited. I think the nervous part's done and gone.
Okay.
It's past. Now it's just excited to see how this all turns out.
How you doing?
After more than 3 hours, the transplant is complete. Medea may start getting new hair growth within 3 months and could see real results in 6 to 8 months, just in time to put her hair in a ponytail by midsummer.
I want to make her life better and, make this whole experience something special that this girl really deserves. All right.
He went out of his way to give my daughter some peace of mind. And that's something that I will never forget or ever be able to say in any ways thank you. He's a wonderful man.
Do I get a hug? All right. I'm gonna see you in a couple of months.
You okay?
Medea's post-op wishes are simple. All she wants to do is get some ice cream, then go to the beach for the very first time in her life.
I want her to be happy regardless of how she looks, because either which way, she's going to be beautiful anyhow.
What a touching story.
The most touching story I've ever worked on.
I bet. I wish I had a hanky for you. Now, what's the prognosis 3 days later?
She feels great. We called the house earlier today. She was literally singing in the background, which is a good sign. Apparently, she's got a little swelling, but she's going to go to a local pediatrician.
Did you say 80% of her hair likely to be restored?
They're expecting between 60 and 80%, which is great. And one more thing I just want to tell our viewers, if you want to watch more of the surgery, we're right there in the room, as you can see, and it's on the website, geraldoatlarge.com. You can watch the whole thing. It's really remarkable.
Yowza. Thanks. See you later.